being relevant and missional where they live, work, and play, right where they are. It doesn't have to be a big project. How do you make friends and introduce them to Jesus? And then fourthly, to do that in community, in a missional community. We need each other.
Yes.
So those are kind of the four things we're emphasizing with the 20s.
Mm-hmm. Don't you think that part of the problem is that there's a lot of illiteracy among believers about what the Bible says? Like you were talking about this man who had answers right away to all these questions. He knew where to go. That's what I personally see, is I see a lot of believers that really don't study the Bible. They don't know where passages are, and they don't know how to defend the faith. So if it's not really an integral part of their lives, it's not going to come out in their workplace. It's not going to come out in this other area of their lives. They're kind of compartmentalizing their faith. It's just this part of my life. And personally, I think the more we encourage people to read the Bible on their own, like what you were doing, as I listened to your testimony, how many people actually decide to take a challenge and say, okay, I'm going to read this every day on my own? Not many people do that.
Why do you think I did it? Well, I think it was a work of God. But because Charlie, this guy Charlie, now I'm 18 years old, he was like 29 or 30, 31. He came around, bought me Cokes, talked about, what I did for fun. I mean, he showed a genuine interest in me, and he was easy to talk to. He wasn't trying to push anything on me, other than, it became evident that the most important thing in his life was Jesus, and if he loved me and cared about me, he would share that with me too. And it was not, and I could ask questions, I could disagree. I like I say, I would try to argue with him. Charlie, you can't prove that. And he'd say, yeah, I can't prove it. There's an issue of faith, and he'd try to explain that a little bit. It was just fun when he showed up. Instead of wanting to run and hide, I was glad to see him. So I try to, I try to do that. There's a friend of mine in Columbus who wrote and does talks on. He wrote a little curriculum called "Making Friends for Heaven's Sake," because I don't think believers, we do a very good job of making friends with unbelievers. Jesus was accused of what? Being the friend of sinners. And we're pretty bad about that.
Yes.
We have a PR problem, big PR problem. As a matter of fact, I'm reading a book now called Speaking of Jesus, and this guy out in Colorado Springs, which is a bastion of Christian organizations, that's where the Navigators are headed, he went to a mall. And the first thing he did, he asked 50 people on video what they thought about Christians. What do you think? How many of them of the 50?
That's a good
How many of them do you think had a
question.
positive response to that?
2.
0.
Wow.
He says, I was amazed. I thought it would be bad, but he says it was 0. Then he went to people, different time, different group, in the mall, same mall and everything, and he went up to people and he says, and they asked for their response or what they think about Jesus. What do you think the response was?
I would think positive.
50. All of them. Every one of them had a positive idea about Jesus. Now he says, that may be an